What are we going to talk about today?
Oh, today, Matthew, I'm going to be. No, I am.
I've just left my copy of what we're
This
about
is
to talk
very.
about back here. So
Oh,
while
have
you
you?
play with your curtains, let me just
This
grab
is
my
very theatrical. What
welcome.
I'm doing.
It's
Here
very
for you.
nice. Right. Anyway, the speech in question, the speech.
Right, the speech.
Please.
We are going today to talk about Hamlet.
Yes, we are.
I studied it for a term, for a whole term at drama school. We did a speech and a scene, and I
Wow.
did Rogue and Peasant Slave and the nunnery scene.
Where were you at drama
And
school, Mark?
It's Royal Scottish Academy of Music and Drama, which is now known as the Conservatoire, the Scottish Conservatoire.
For we must have much more pretentious names for our drama schools.
We must, yes. It's not sufficient to say music and drama because we encompass many more things. I don't exactly know
what a conservatoire is.
Yeah, how many more things other than music and drama do you need to encompass to call yourself a conservatoire? People have been studying and talking about Hamlet for centuries, ad infinitum, because it's a compelling play and it's a compelling part. But also, apart from that, the language, just when you, I mean, it's comes back to me this, I'll find myself, every now and again, if I can't get to sleep or first thing in the morning when I've woken up, if I find myself idle, it'll pop into my head sometimes.
Right.
And I go through it as far as I can remember, up to a point that I forget. It really warrants revisiting because it's infinite in its depth and it's infinite in its interpretation and its cadence. I've watched a lot of people doing it since you asked me to do this. I thought I'll go and see what everybody else does.
Oh, fun!
And there are some brilliant versions of it on YouTube.
Who is your favorite? Who is your favorite rendition?
Well, I wondered if you'd ask me that. Well, I think, for sense and meter and force of nature, you'd have to go with Branagh. Yeah, he has it. But I tell you who else does a brilliant version, although it's not quite the full speech, is Tim Minchin. And now I didn't know he could.
What?
I didn't know he was an actor, but it kind of makes sense, really. He went to a youth group at Perth Theatre School in Australia, and he did a great version of it. Really, I just found it last night. I mean, there's a lot of shit as well, it has to be said.
One of my pet peeves is always that we have this total obsession with Hamlet being a thinker, not a doer. And that makes for quite a boring character. And I actually think, in the sort of time I've spent looking at the text, I always feel like he's absolutely a doer. He's just in a very specific moment in his life where he's paralyzed by a very certain task.
He's paralyzed for good reason. This speech, in fact, this speech is the most laid bare he is about why he's paralyzed, because he's not, for starters, he's seen a ghost, for starters. I love the little section, what would he do had he the motive and cue for passion that I have? I love he would drown the stage with tears and cleave the general ear with horrid speech. Because he's working himself up a little bit at this stage, a lot of the versions that I've watched, they don't quite land this little sort of 4 lines here. He would drown the stage with tears, cleave the general ear with horrid speech, make mad the guilty and appall the free, confound the ignorant and amaze indeed the very faculties of eyes and ears. That's a hell of a 4 lines there, 5 lines there about what would happen if the actor had the meat and bones to work with that Hamlet does. Just the painting of those images is quite remarkable.
Was there a bit you remember being hard to get through?
I think always the challenge for this, and it's interesting. And it's, I'm not sure if it's a well documented challenge, but the lead up to O Vengeance. But I like it because there's 3 beats. No, there's 4. You've got 4 beats of the pentameter. After that, you have a think about what you've just done.
Yes.
When Shakespeare writes in verse, anyway, there are 5 beats to the line. So, oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I. And so the first thing you do when you look at a speech, if you're playing Hamlet, or one of the first things you do is you go through and you see where there aren't 5 beats. And that then you have to decide why. You can't ask Shakespeare.
No.
So you have to decide, try and work out what his intention was in leaving that gap there.
Yeah.
So Hecuba's another one, with forms to his conceit and all for nothing for Hecuba. Was Hecuba to him or he to Hecuba?
That is absolutely one of my favourite things about Shakespeare. I love that what the verse enables us is these sort of secret stage directions.
Exactly that. Yeah, they are secret stage directions. And there's a few in this speech. And even when you try and go against it, there's one that there's now and again you can go, yeah, but I could put the stress, and you can do it. You can do the stress against, you can go against the pentameter and see where it gets you. But usually you find yourself, you're kind of throwing yourself a bit of a curveball.
Yeah.
There was one, what was it that I was looking at this morning? But I am pigeon-livered and lack gall. So, but I am pigeon-livered and lack gall.
Yeah.
So it's scanned perfectly.
Yeah.
But he's just been talking about being a coward. Am I a coward? Am I? Who calls me villain? Breaks my pate across. As soon as it cannot be, but you could argue, you could put the stress on am, although it would go against the
yes, I see,
pentameter. But I am pigeon-livered and lack gall to make oppression bitter or ere this. I should have fatted all the region's kites with this slave's offal. I am like that. I am. So that I was kind of pondering that this morning. But then I went back to the meter and thought, no, you can still get the sense of that. You can still get that sense.
Yeah.
But I am pigeon-livered and lack gall to make oppression bitter. And it still works. So don't try being smart arse.
So you haven't actually played Hamlet?
No, I was offered Hamlet once, many years ago, only when I was about 2-3 years at drama school. And do you know what? I can't remember why I turned it down at the time. I think I didn't feel it would be very good. And I thought, I'd rather not. It's such a well-known play. And you are kind of almost setting yourself up. You're setting yourself up for people to talk about your Hamlet.
Yeah.
You know, I was just going to say that whole thing about Shakespeare, about people being afraid they won't understand it, and being frightened of even coming to see it. And I think that has to change at school. That has to go back to school. Kids can understand it. It's not physics. It's not higher physics or chemistry. It's language, and you can. The most wonderful thing about it, certainly in iambic pentameter, is you can feel it. There's a rhythm to it. So that's inherent in all of us. It's the rhythm of life. It's the way we speak. You know?